Today we're reacting to relationship TikToks. Let's see what they have to say.
I don't want a boyfriend. I just want to be loved. I want you to arrive on my door unannounced. I want flowers in every color because they make me smile. I want a random call at 1 p.m. telling me you miss me and wanted to hear my voice before getting back to work. I want to get ready. I've made reservations for us at 7 p.m. I'm coming to pick you up. I've got a surprise planned for you on a random Saturday. A surprise date that needs no occasion. Brunch on Sunday or lazy day drinking tea watching our favorite show. I want an out-of-the-blue hug and kisses, post-it notes on the mirror reminding me how beautiful you think I am, even if I can find it hard to believe it completely. I want handmade gifts, a book bouquet. I want handwritten letters, and my hand held in public. I want, I got you this because you looked at it for a second too long when you saw it on the display of the store. I want, I've canceled my plans, I'm here for you, always. I want forehead kisses after putting your jacket on me. I just want to be loved, desperately.
So there's a lot of really beautiful things in there, right? And I love that she started with, I don't want a boyfriend, and then proceeded to list off things that you really can only get if you're in a committed relationship with a selfless person, a thoughtful person, someone who puts you first, right? And that, to me, that describes the marriage that I idealize. Our marriage, my wife and I, our relationship is very much built on this idea of selfless giving and service. What I'm missing from this beautiful poem, otherwise, what I'm missing from this is the reciprocation. I want someone to do these things for as well. I want to greet you in the morning with a smile and your favorite breakfast. I want to take long walks on the beach of your or share a meal at your favorite spot, like something that would be not just self-serving, right? She wants romance. Most girls do, right? Most girls want to be romanced, and that's not wrong. And a guy that understands that and thoughtfully goes out of his way to serve his wife, that is a wonderful thing. But what I'm missing from this particular poem is the other way around. Like, just being loved, desperately wanting to be loved, also involves loving another person. It's not just get all the time. It's looking forward to the ways that you can serve as well.
I have an equal partner. I don't have to make him a list. I have an equal partner. I don't have to ask him to help with things around the house. I have an equal partner. He knows how to shop at the grocery store without pictures.
Okay, so this is the equal partner thing.
He doesn't expect me to handle everything alone. I have an equal partner. He plans date nights without me having to beg for it.
Okay, before we keep going on this, this is going to be a lot of like short, quick quips. Honestly, marriage isn't equal. The best way I've heard it described is marriage is not 50-50. Marriage is I show up with my 80 today and you only have 20 and I pick up your slack, and the next day maybe I'm at 10 and you have 90 and we pick up each other's slack, or maybe we're both at 40 and neither of us can get to 100%, but we work through it and we try as much as we can. This one is talking about I have an equal partner. Really what she's saying is I have a man. I have someone who is being a man in this relationship, can do the laundry, can shop for groceries. Now, the shopping for groceries without needing a list, or is that what she said? Doesn't need a list, handle everything alone. Grocery store without pictures. Now that one's not very fair. Grocery store without pictures. My wife and I have a great relationship. Sometimes she sends me things in the Walmart when I'm just like, I don't know exactly what this is. I need to know what it is that you get. But if you're paying attention, there's a lot of times that I can guess, even if I've never bought that particular item before, I can guess what it was that she used I saw how it looked, or I was paying attention. So really what she's talking about is someone who's being a man, picking up their slack in the relationship, pulling their own weight, and being thoughtful and considerate and caring and all of those things as well.
I have an equal partner. He doesn't expect me to handle everything alone. I have an equal partner. He plans date nights without me having to beg for it.
Okay. Date nights without having to beg for it. That has nothing to do with equality. That's just, you have a thoughtful man in your life. You have someone who is working on the relationship, right? That, I don't know how that's equal. Equal would be you plan date nights one week and he plans date nights the next week. But I mean, I love planning date nights for my wife. It's what we ought to do.
I have an equal partner. He does his own laundry.
Does
I
his
have an
own
equal
laundry.
partner. He makes his own appointments. I have an equal partner. My stocking has never been empty.
So, okay, stocking has never been empty. Stockings are for kids. I mean, stockings are not for maybe unpopular opinion, but we don't give each other stockings.
I have an equal partner. He makes the kids' lunches in the morning. I have an equal partner. He makes and takes their son to his therapy appointments. I have an equal partner. He doesn't believe that just because he goes to work, he shouldn't have to do anything when he gets home. I have an equal partner. He takes genuine interest in me and my interests. I have an equal partner. He knows how to fold towels. I have an equal partner. He takes our kids to bed and knows their teachers' names. I have an equal partner. He doesn't make me feel bad if I'm not in the mood. I have an equal partner. He acknowledges and appreciates what I do and tells me that often. I have an equal partner. He does basic adult tasks without being asked.
A lot of that's repetitive, but I get the point. The point is she's in a marriage with a man, a real man. And it's sad that there are men who are married who don't act like this. I mean, most of this is basic. You got to give some grace on some of them. And TikTok's not really good on giving grace. But, I mean, for the most part, yeah, you should be a self-sustaining man. You don't need to be a baby in your mama's house. Let's go do another one here.
Hey, can I talk to you about something?
Yeah, what's up?
I just wanted to get on the same page about the fight we had last night.
Okay.
And I know it takes two to fight, and I certainly want to work on making sure I'm not escalating things and I'm being respectful. And if you feel like I bring up things in a rude or critical way, then I have no problem addressing that.
All right.
But I'm just letting you know ahead of time that I'm not okay with being called names during a conflict. Listen, I got worked up. I said that in the heat of the moment. You know I didn't mean that. Well, regardless of whether you meant it or not, it's not okay, right? So in the future, once there's any name calling or yelling or aggression, I'm just letting you know now that I have to leave the room for 30 minutes. Do not follow me. I'm not being immature and just abandoning this. I promise I will come back and have this conversation. I'm just not willing to do so if those things are present.
Hold on. So you're giving me ultimatums now?
No, this isn't an ultimatum. This is just one of my boundaries.
Okay, so this thing about boundaries, maybe in a relationship that isn't a marriage, this is more necessary. I wouldn't know because I've been married for 11 years and didn't really have a relationship where we were living together in a way that we would have had these kinds of, turf wars, if you want to call them that. And even now that I've been married for 11 years, we don't really have turf wars. We don't really fight. And so I don't get the whole boundaries thing. If I do something to my wife and it offends her, I can see it right then in the moment and I instantly feel bad. To me, being a man and especially a husband is being sensitive to what your partner is wanting of you, what your wife is wanting of you in whatever moment that you're in. And I can tell when I failed to give that to her. I can tell when I didn't do what I was supposed to do in the moment. And I try to instantly make that right. Do I do it perfectly? No, not all the time. There's sometimes that I take too long to pick up on it. There's sometimes that I took something too far and I waited longer than I should have to come back and make it right. But usually it's instantaneous. It's in the moment. We've got to handle this right now. There's not okay, what happened last night? Now that I've had time to cool off, let's talk about this. Like, no, we need to address that in the moment. And I get that reconciliation itself is not always a quick process. Sometimes that can take some time. But the actual setting of boundaries, no, it's like, hey, you can't call me names. And not, I'm going to leave the room for 30 minutes, but no, you can't call me names. And you as a spouse have a right to tell your spouse, this is unacceptable in our marriage. This is not the way that it's going to work. It cannot continue. And there doesn't need to be like I need some cooling off time and then we can come back and do this. To me, this is two selfish people at a table. This skit is two selfish people sitting at a table. And I don't feel like we need to finish this one.
Unpopular opinion. Stop telling women on the internet how beautiful they are and go say it to your wife.
Hey, babe, just want to let you know that women on the internet are beautiful.
Okay, that one's just funny. That is my humor. That is how I think. It's hilarious.
People don't respect the person who accepts their unacceptable behavior. So if I'm unacceptable, if I'm disloyal to you and I'm swearing at you and I'm rude to you and you still want to be with me, I automatically don't love you anymore. And the reason for that is because you've shown me I can be my worst and you'll accept it. And I don't want to be my worst. We all want to be our best. I don't want to be hitting my husband and swearing at him. When he accepts that, there's a part of us that says, why are you taking this? So when we accept the unacceptable, we remove the connection rather than create it.
I don't understand this at all. When you accept the unacceptable, you remove connection rather than create it. She's saying, I don't want to be the kind of person who hits my husband. Well, then don't. Don't be the kind of person that hits your husband. I don't want to be the kind of person who hits my wife, so I don't hit my wife. And if I have a moment where I'm doing that, the onus is not on my wife to accept or not accept what I'm doing to her. The onus is on me to realize if I don't want to be the worst possible version of myself, then I have to change that. What I would want from someone in a relationship is I would want them to be long-suffering. If I'm actively trying to change, I would want them to be forgiving, to understand when I'm making mistakes that I'm working on things, and not have this weird concept that if I show you the worst side of me, you're going to instantly not love me anymore. That's ridiculous. Marriage is about two people who can be completely vulnerable with each other and sometimes will show the worst side of themselves. And then they can both go, that's not who I want to be. Will you be patient with me while I work on this and help me through it? That's how it's supposed to work. I don't agree with this one at all.
The sad truth is that love will never be enough to save your relationship, at least not the way today's culture has defined it. Frankly, I don't even care that you love each other. Anyone with a pulse in their brain can fall in love. But I had to learn the hard way that love doesn't sustain a relationship.
Okay, I feel like he's going to make some good points here in a minute, but I want to point out, he started by saying love is not enough to sustain a relationship. It absolutely is, but then he says at least not the way that our culture has defined it. I completely agree. But then he continues to use the word love in the way that culture has defined it. So far, he's been saying the word love when he actually means attraction, infatuation, whatever word you want to sub in there. It's not love. That's not what love is. And I'm hoping that he goes on to define love a little bit more, what real love is, because real love actually can sustain a relationship.
Connection and intimacy and safety and trust do.
Sure.
And those require a lot more than just love, don't they?
No,
that's
it
great
is love.
that you love
That's
each
what
other.
love is.
Here's a better question. Do you respect each other?
Love.
Does your partner feel respected and valued?
Loved.
Do you even care anymore?
Love.
Do you work to appreciate each other?
Love.
Do you serve
Love.
each other mutually? Can you take accountability when you mess
Love.
up? Can you repair conflicts together?
I'm not
Can
gonna
you
keep
listen
saying
when
love.
they say you accidentally hurt them? Can you be vulnerable?
Yeah.
Are you a safe place for them
Sure.
to be vulnerable and honest about what they need to feel valued? Because love's not going to be enough. How you love each other is what's going to make the difference. And for those of you who are married, saying I do doesn't mean you can. It just means you want to. And unfortunately, relationship success has nothing to do with your intentions. It has everything to do with humility and putting aside your ego and becoming a team together where each of you cares how the other feels loved, valued, and prioritized.
I think I would package this differently. I don't necessarily disagree with anything that he said. It's just the way he's packaged it. He's missing the point that to love someone, if you're going to define it properly, is a choice that you make every day. It doesn't matter what you feel like in the moment. Whether I feel attracted to my wife, I still love her because I chose to love her, right? It has nothing to do with what I feel, how my emotions are. The worst possible thing that I think our culture has done is they have equated and interconnected this idea of love, which is sacrificial giving of oneself, and attraction, which is an emotion / physiological reaction that you're having in your body. Those things wear off. Some people say, like, years into their marriage, they still get butterflies, and that's amazing. If you do, you still get butterflies. There are moments when I will look at my wife, but I have not looked at her the same way. Like I get the whole like butterflies thing, but it's not like right before we got married butterflies. It is much deeper than that. It is a admiration that I have gained over watching her be a faithful wife and mother for over 10 years now. It is a deep-seated connection that I have with her. So butterflies may not, I don't think that's even the right like term for it, because it's deeper than that. Butterflies to me it happens when you're excited about unknowns in a person. To me, that's all that infatuation and attraction is. It's you're getting really excited about things that are unknown. And that is why first-time relationships are so exciting. It's a feeling I think a lot of people chase, why they get out of relationships and go into new ones all the time, because that first initial, like, I'm not sure if they really like me, and then they affirm that they do in fact like you. That's really exciting, and like all the first that you have with someone, super exciting. I think of it kind of like having kids as well. Like I'm really excited the first couple times that my baby starts to talk or my baby starts to walk, but I don't think about it at all after 10 years. They've just been talking and walking for 10 years. But I appreciate my child for different things than the things that used to excite me when we were first getting to know one another. Same thing with a relationship, especially with a marriage. I appreciate my wife on a deeper level now than simply this fleeting feeling that comes and goes, whether I'm attracted or not, chemical reactions that are happening in my brain. Like, if that's what your love is built on, yeah, that's not going to sustain a marriage, but that also isn't love.
Is it good or bad for a relationship to have a fight from time to time?
Oh, it's a must. I think relationships follow a cycle of harmony, disharmony, and repair. The question is not so much the fighting. The question is really the repair. What they're fighting about is not the towel or the bathroom. What they're fighting about are actually three key groups of themes that are underneath those plot lines: power and control, closeness and care, and respect and recognition.
Okay, she's making some points about reconciling with your spouse, your relationship partner, whatever. Those are good. But to say that fighting is a must and the most important thing is how you come out of a fight and the people that you become on the other side of a fight, no. For one thing, my wife and I don't fight. When I say that, I don't mean we don't disagree on things. We've had disagreements that have lasted for a long time, but we don't fight over those disagreements. We find a way to work through them, even if it takes a long time. And the way that we work through those disagreements is by submitting to one another, by not pushing our own agenda, by not forcing it down the other one's throat. I have to be mature enough to go, if my wife disagrees with this so much so that she's not willing to just go along with me on it, then there must be something that I'm missing, or I haven't done a good enough job of walking her through the benefits that I'm seeing for whatever this is. And so if you're fighting about things, to me, that screams two things. One, you're immature. You are not recognizing that you have a responsibility as a grown adult to make your case and present your case in a way that doesn't end in some form of physical or verbal violence against your partner. Secondly, you're really not loving your spouse, because what you're doing is you are letting your pride govern the way that you're responding and reacting to your spouse. And so you just need to swallow your pride, and you won't fight. It's impossible to fight if you swallow your pride. You can't do it, because fighting happens when you feel like you have to defend something. Your honor, the need for power, control, like what she was talking about, your opinion. You have to be right because your opinion is obviously the most valid opinion in the world. It's just all ways of packaging pride. And so marriages end, I believe, most often because two people had too much pride and couldn't get over it. Not always, but I think often that is the case. You just never grew up. You never got over yourself. And so marriage is all about loving someone else to the point that you get over yourself.
Okay, this is going to be a part 2 of
Oh, great.
maybe some
controversial things in your
that
relationship.
I do in my relationship that,
Yeah, let's see.
yeah, they just could
We'll be the judge
controversial.
of that,
To me,
right?
they're not, because that's just how it works. Number 1, we're each other's best friends. He will always come first.
I don't think that's
We are
controversial.
lifelong partners. That's just how it is. Do I have girl
Yeah.
best friends? Yes. But when it comes down to it, he is the person I laugh the most with, the person I have the most fun with, the person I want with me through everything.
Definitely.
He is that person. I'm that person for him.
If that's controversial, it shouldn't be. That is exactly how it should be. You and your spouse ought to be best of friends. Before kids, after kids, for your entire life, this is the person you said you're going to spend your life with. If you enjoy the company of anyone else more than your spouse, you need to get that fixed.
To go along with this, and this might, some people might take this the wrong way, but I love him and he loves me more than we love anyone else.
How is that controversial?
And it will always be like that.
It has to be.
We have made the commitment to be together for the rest of our lives.
Okay, yeah.
And we will love each other more than anyone else for the
Yeah, we
rest
don't
of
even
our
need
lives.
to talk about that. That's how a marriage ought to
Number
be.
2, we
That
do
should be
not
default.
want kids, but we have talked about what kind of parents we'd want to be
Okay.
if we had kids. And one thing that's really important to us is that our kids know that we are a team. If we disagree on something, if we disagree on a decision, we're not going to have that conversation in front of our children. We're going to have that conversation with just each other, hear each other's side, come to a conclusion or whatever needs to happen. But we want our kids to understand that mom and dad are a team. They're together. It's always them, and they're always going to be there for us together as a team.
Okay, first of all, they don't want to have kids, which you're your own couple. You get to make that decision, right? I can't tell you what you ought to do. I think that's a bad decision. I think that's a selfish decision to say we're just going to be the two of us forever and we're not going to raise a family together. Not because we can't, but because we don't want to. I think that is an immature position. I think that valuing your career or your love together or your vacation life or whatever it is that they're valuing over children is a really selfish, very modern, by modern I mean it's new. This type of thinking wasn't around until just recently, when people could just infinitely never grow up. So I don't agree with that position. But on top of that, now you're going to try and tell me how you would parent. You don't get to say how you would parent if you're going to only ever have hypothetical kids. Like that's not going to fly.
Another one is I want him to take on the more stereotypical male roles, and he's totally fine with that. He helps me with a lot of the stereotypical female roles, but the male stuff, I just don't want to do it. Could I do it if I didn't have him? Sure. But he does that stuff for me without me having to ask. That's just kind of what happened, and I don't want that to ever change, and it never will.
The fact that that is controversial makes me a little bit sad. The fact that she's saying, I enjoy my husband being in the quote-unquote male role, doing things that guys normally do, and I appreciate it when he helps me out with some of the things that I normally do, but like I want to be in my lane and he wants to be in his lane, and the fact that some people are going to judge her over that, it's quite sad.
Another thing, we do not really cook our food, the same food. We eat different food. We don't really have a lot of meals together, but that's not a time that we spend together. We do other things to spend time together.
That's fine, I guess.
But that's
it's a little
just,
odd, but
that's what we
no
do.
problem.
I'm on a certain meal plan because of the training I do, and he eats different foods, and that's just kind of how the cards fell. Another thing is we go to bed together every single night. We brush our teeth together, and then we go to bed together. Neither of us will ever stay up when the other one goes to bed. One of us is tired, we're both going to bed. That's just how it works. Even if we've gone out for the night together, one of us wants to go home and go to bed. That's just what happens. And I think that helps a lot with intimacy and time together because we're always in bed together. We sleep together. Every single night, we go to bed at the same time. And that's something that is just super important to us because it would just be weird not having the other person there. I wouldn't be able to sleep. He wouldn't be able to sleep.
Yeah, so that one, I think there's some wisdom there. I think it is largely unrealistic for people with small children, like my family. There's often times when I have to be up after my wife has already decided to go to bed because there's stuff to get done. And it couldn't get done while the kids were awake because the kids took a lot of our time. And so yeah, if you're gonna be the kind of couple who never has kids and never has to deal with that, one, you're not gonna grow through that. But two, you can have that rule if you want to have that rule. That rule is not gonna work for most people. But I will say, when we have gone to bed together more consistently, when it's worked out that her bedtime and my bedtime kind of meet in the middle, and we're both tired around the same time, it is definitely a healthier, I think, thing for our relationship.